Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the Three Gun Show, brought to you by Armalite Rifles, LAG Tactical, and Beretta Shotguns. I'm your host, Dave Hartman. This week, Austin, Texas-based 2A armament shooter and Texas Three Gun Championship staff member Garrison England is on the show to talk match travel on a budget. Now, let's chat for a minute here. I need your help. Whether you're new to the show or you've been with me from the beginning, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button if you're listening to this on a device or like an iPod or something like that. And tell one friend. That's how you can help me to grow the show and reach new three-gun fanatics like you and I. Go ahead. Hit pause now and do it. I'll wait. Thank you. The reason I ask for your help in this is the Three Gun Show is obviously based on firearms. I can't advertise on Facebook. I can't advertise on Instagram. I can't advertise on Google. The only way that we can grow the show is organically. And how we do that is if you like it, you tell someone about it. You leave a review in iTunes is icing on the cake. That helps the algorithm and stuff like that. Put this show in front of other people. Now, I haven't done this in a while, but I'm going to read an iTunes review that was left recently, and this one is from Jeremy the Haircut Maker, and he says, must listen, 5 stars. The Three Gun Show is my go-to podcast. Dave and his guests cover everything Three Gun, from stage planning to gear selection, match recon, and more. Beyond the show, Dave has answered DMs, helped me find deals, and he even sent me stickers. As long as there's a Three Gun Show, I'll be a subscriber. Three Gun Show for life. Thanks, Jeremy. I totally appreciate that. For everyone listening, I really enjoy reading your reviews in iTunes, your comments on Facebook, comments on Instagram, DMs, emails, stuff like that. I really do enjoy that. It helps so much for spreading the work because it puts all that content in front of other people, in front of your friends and everything, and they see that, and then more people see the show. But more than that, lets me know that we're on the right track here at the Three Gun Show. I'm doing something that reaches you as a listener and helps change your game. And that's what it's all about, is to spread the good word of Three Gun. This podcast is also brought to you by Armalite. Through Armalite, I am able to get special pricing for listeners on their line of 3-gun rifles. They have a 13.5 and an 18-inch model, both with Armalite's patented tunable comp, Timney triggers, Luth AR stocks, and they're ready to go right out of the box. If you're more of a build-your-own rifle kind of person, I have a few of their competition handguards left in 12-inch and 15-inch sizes as well. So when you're in the market for a rifle or components to build your own, just email me, dave@threegunshow.com, and I will hook you up. Anytime you see me on the range, you can check out my rifle. I'm currently rocking the 13.5-inch Shorty 3-gun rifle with a Vortex Optics Viper PST 1-6 on it, which I'm really enjoying. This podcast is also brought to you by LAG Tactical. I've been using LAG mag pouches and holsters for years, ever since James Casanova introduced me to their Nova holsters and their first-generation competition mag pouches. They have a new design for mag pouches out now in the MCS, the modular carry system, which features a 2-piece design and fits a wide variety of pistol mags as well as different brands of AR mags. I got to see the prototypes in action when Scott Green won the Lucas Oil PCC Championship, and I'm excited to run them myself. Check them out at lagtactical.com. In this episode of the podcast, Garrison gives us over a dozen key points to inexpensive match travel, and you can find all those at 3gunshow.com/episode 177. Plus, we talk about the upcoming Texas 3-Gun Championship, how to get in if you still want to shoot it at the last minute here, and why you should come check it out anyway, even if you can't make the match. Now enjoy this one with Garrison England. Garrison, welcome to the 3-Gun Show.
Thanks, Dave, for having me. This is super excited to be here.
I'm pumped to have you, man. So this is kind of interesting. This is like your second appearance on the show, right? But the first one where we're going to get to know Garrison the shooter.
Yes, this is my first individual episode. I've been on the show maybe twice. One for one of the pro matches.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah,
The
pro match, Rick talked for a little bit, and then the other one was the Generation 3 gun junior shoot off, which is one of the most fun things I've done in 3 gun.
That was an awesome thing to do. I was so pumped about that. And I've seen a lot of shoot offs, Garrison, and you've seen even more than I have. But this was a pretty cool format. So what it was, Generation 3 gun, it's out there to support youth shooters, and each youth in the match got to choose 2 adults to be on their team, and then we each person in those 3 shot rifle, pistol, or shotgun as a tag team match. It was kind of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and I surely hope they're going to do it again this year. So I'm hoping that I get to participate again because it was a lot of fun. It really made you feel really good inside. Actually, I actually left that thinking it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And for me, it was a surprise. Like, did you know about it before you were asked to shoot in it?
No, absolutely no idea. I knew there was going to be a shoot off, and so I saw that set up, and so I'd asked somebody, "Oh, what's that?" And they said, "Oh, it's a shoot off." And then I believe I asked Brian Corey or maybe Chad. I'm not sure exactly who. Oh, he said, "Oh, it's a junior shoot off." So I just assumed it was the juniors who were going to go at it.
That's what I thought. Is we were going to watch the juniors do a shoot off, but it ended up being a participation match, which was actually really fun.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, when I got asked, I was just like, "We're doing what?" And I was like, "Okay, count me in," So
yeah, I went back to the RV park and let the dog out. Had breakfast with Jason Tilkey, and then came back and someone was like, "Yeah, Riley Crawford's looking for you. You got to find him." I'm like, "Okay," and he's like, "Well, you need to shoot." I'm like, "Shoot what?" Like, I'm already done with the match. It just did not compete what they were asking.
that was one of the local shooters, junior shooter, came up to me and was like, "When I get choosing, can I choose you? And who else should I choose?" And I believe I had told her Ben Hayes would be a good choice, And I don't know if my junior shooter maybe heard that or what, but he came up to me and was like, "Hey, I chose you and Ben Hayes," and I was just like,
"Oh, no kidding."
Hey. So I kind of felt bad for her for a split second, but she ended up getting Aaron and Stephen Lee, which was
cool,
a slam dunk combination anyway. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. So if folks are wondering what we're talking about, we actually did like a live commentary of this shoot off, and that was episode 152. So you can go back and listen to that. And it was a ton of fun.
It was a lot of fun, actually. It was a whole bunch of shooters talking. It was like really some of the best in 3 gun, all talking and breaking down this shootout. It's one of my favorite podcasts you have. I've listened to it 2 or 3 times, and you get a whole lot of input from a lot of guys that just you at the same time that you wouldn't always get.
Yeah, it's true. And to get an entire match in the same place at one time, where you have people's adrenaline up and you're having a good time and things like that, and to get them to unleash like that it's fairly unique, and it was a cool opportunity.
People were cheering, as you were running by, they were cheering you on, and people were screaming. It's the best shoot off I've ever been to.
Yeah.
The other ones that I've been in have been very serious,
super competitive,
and you were just focusing right there on the primary, and you didn't really, you weren't having a good time. This one was all about having a good time.
Exactly. Which is kind of the point, and I think sometimes we get away from that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very much so. 3 gun is a sport about having fun, and some days even I forget that, and I got to reel it in.
Well, Garrison, we're going to be talking about shooting a lot here, but let's take a break and take it real far back here, and talk about your entry into shooting. But first, let's decide. Let's get to know you a little bit better. Who are you off the range? What do you do when you're not shooting?
There's not much I do off the range. I really love 3 gun, so I do focus a lot of my time on that. But I have, I'm married, no kids. My day job is I'm a mechanic for the City of Austin Department of Aviation. I'm a fleet mechanic out there, working on a lot of heavy diesel equipment. Me and my wife are mostly kind of homebodies. She owns a salon that I help her run in downtown Round Rock called Vintage Beauty Salon. But she's been doing that, and we've had a very successful year this year. We just opened a new location, and things in life are really looking great off the range.
Wow, that's cool. So you have a second location. The first one's in Round Rock. Where's the second one going to be at?
Well, we didn't have a first one. We had a first one. Let me see how to say this. We had a location, and our lease ran up, and we moved. But we moved into this really awesome place.
Oh,
This old building that was built in the 1800s in the downtown historical district of Round Rock, and her title is Vintage Beauty Salon.
oh,
So
how cool is that?
it meshes really well, and you're right there in the heart of what is Round Rock. So it just exploded. It was a little salon, like it was close to the downtown. It was in this little old house, but we went from 4 stylists to now 8 stylists, a nail technician, a massage therapist, and a esthetician.
Dang,
So it was a big jump.
that's crazy. So, what do you do on the weekends? Are you like sweep floors,
Well,
work the counter?
she runs the day to day.
Mm-hmm.
She runs the day to day, and I do the books and the taxes and the things like that. But day to day operation, I tend to not go up there very often for day to day stuff. I'm the guy going there and fixing things when it breaks.
Oh, sweet.
She is really the mastermind of the day to day, and I'm just the guy putting my input on different decisions on how we can progress to the next level.
Very cool. That's an awesome thing you guys have going there. When you say that you don't do much when you're not on the range, other than work and spend time with the wife, tons of time spent on the range. Like how did that come about?
I'm kind of I have several ranges around me, and I'm kind of blessed. I'm sponsored by a range called Copperhead Creek Shooting Club out in Marble Falls, and so they've really just given me the key to the castle, so to speak. So I can go out there whenever I want. Then I have another friend that owns a piece of property, so on the weekends I'm always at Copperhead Creek, and during the week, because it's a little bit of a drive from my house, I go to my buddy's range. That's just on his little property, nothing to the public, and I try to put in at least 2 to 3 days a week there.
And how long have you been shooting 3-gun, Garrison?
I started in 2012.
Okay. What got you into it?
Well, so I was just like I was scrolling through Facebook, and a good old former boss of mine had a picture of 3 guns laying on the floor, and in the caption section it said "My 3-gun setup." And so I saw it, and I said, "Well, what's 3-gun?" And so I just scrolled on by, like you always do on Facebook, and I ended up seeing the guy like 2 days later after that, just weird coincidence. And so I asked him, I said, "Hey, what's 3-gun?" He said, "It's the greatest thing you can do with a firearm." So now I'm intrigued. He said there is a monthly match that's put on every 3rd Saturday at a range in Liberty Hill called Best of the West. He said we should go. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So as we got closer to the date, I texted him, and he ended up having to cancel, but he told me that I should still go because the people there are great. They're helpful. They're everything you see in 3-gun. That I completely agree with him at this point. And so I go to the match. I was immediately addicted, just straight up hooked. It was an adrenaline rush. I used to drag race when I was younger. It was the same feeling.
Oh, cool.
I had that same rush. I met great people. One of them stands above everyone else, though, and he really has progressed me and what I am in 3-gun. And I met Aaron Hayes the first day I ever shot. And Aaron Hayes Custom Guns wasn't even. It was maybe just a little glimmer. I think they were working on their FFL when I met. So that really progressed from there into what I am today.
Yeah, what a cool person to meet that first time around.
Yeah, super helpful. He had just started. And he was just learning it, and I was learning it, and he was a little bit more advanced, so I was enough he was enough to help me along the way.
Nice. So you went to that first match, got completely hooked. Did you have the right gear and everything to go out there?
Oh, no, nowhere close.
No,
nowhere close. I had a Kimber carry gun, single stack 1911. I had only 3 10-round magazines. I didn't have any mag pouches. Is the guy that would talk me into it. I said, well, what do I need to buy? Anything? He's like, just go. You'll have a good time. Just if you got to pull mags from, your pockets, just do it that way. And I'm like, okay. I had a 28-inch Benelli Super Black Eagle that my dad had given me when I was younger. Had no extension tube, only held, I think, 3 to 4 shells with the plug removed.
Sweet.
My rifle was a Bushmaster with a fixed 4-power ACOG. It was a mess. I feel bad looking back at it. I kind of feel bad for my squad mates that day because I think I timed out on every stage.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I was terrible. Like my Kimber 45, I didn't know what I was doing. I was limp wristing it, and it was jamming every other stage, every other shot. It was bad.
That's awesome. But you stuck with it.
I did. I was immediately hooked, and I left that match, and I was like, okay, well, what? I think either Aaron or somebody there in that squad told me, well, the first thing you should probably get is an extension on your shotgun. So I went out and I bought an extension for my Benelli. And then I was like, okay, I want to put a little bit of a belt together. So I went to the local GT distributors. It's a police shop, and I bought this duty belt thing, and then they had some mag pouches. So I had bought the cheapest mag pouches I could get my hands onto, and then they had some of the old, I think they're called California something. They were shell holders, and you could pull 4 shells out.
What was that, California Competition? I think it was.
I think it was California Competition. I'm not 100% sure what it was called, but they've obviously long since left me because who loads 4 like that anymore?
Yeah, I was told to get those same ones when I started out, and it was the case where it was like one dude that was making them, but it was like on the side of his regular job, so it was like a 19th month wait time to hold shotgun shells or something. It was like the early days of 3-gun,
Very much so. Very much so, and it was like, I found them in the store, and they were actually in a package. So they were, I don't remember what the package was. I remember finding them, and there was like 2 of them, and I was like, I just bought them, and I could hold 8 shells. I could load 8 shells now, and it was almost never enough for the stages I needed. But
yeah.
When you're first starting, I think I budgeted myself like $100 to build the whole thing, and I did it for like 105.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. I kind of went on the cheap too, and the shotgun caddies were one of the first things I got. I ended up getting the AP Customs, and it's kind of the same concept where you draw 4 out and load weekend, like shuffling them in. But mine had a double stack, so it was like 4 or a row of
4x4.
Yeah, the 4x4. It was a row of 4 and a row of 4, which in theory is great, but when you start running, they like start bouncing around and shit like that. Like they just become too heavy, and they're too far away from your belt to stay stable.
So the guys I always saw using those, and I always thought, man, that's an awesome idea. Is they had 4 birdshot up top and then like 4 slugs. But notoriously, I would watch guys, and I watched several guys do it. They would go to grab the birdshot, and a slug would end up in their mix.
Yeah.
And then they would end up slugging a plate or something. So I was always like, oh, I would probably screw that up. So I never went that direction.
Yeah, it's so interesting how far that's come into, like, loading 2 and loading 4 now. It's so much simpler.
I remember when I first saw my first set of quad load caddies, and they were the Carbon Arms pinwheels. I remember Kyle Simak, a local shooter to me, had a set, and I was like, I want some of those. So I went and bought me a first set of those. Those were my first quad loading caddies.
Yeah, a buddy of mine had a vest that was like, it was like a one-piece vest. So it was like a hard plastic vest. Actually, he still shoots with it, and it was a load 2. And I remember him loading 2 into his FN SLP and thinking like, well, I'm almost as fast when he loads 2 2s as when I shuffle in my 4. So if I just get better, then I can do it. And then the first time I saw someone quad load, I was like, whoa, there's no way I can get to be that fast. Yeah, pretty much. So had to go out and buy some quad loading gear after that.
And you saw that, and you saw some guys, hanging on to the load, the traditional load 4.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, it's very rare when I see somebody show up to a range with a traditional load 4 now. So I think quad loading and double loading is really taking it over. Only time I ever see somebody with one of those things is like it's way on the back of their belt and it's full of like slugs, and it's for that one slug you can thumb in.
Yeah.
Or, the
backup slug.
Yeah.
I tell you, the only people that I've seen do it well in recent memory is I shot the Vortex Shooter Source 3-gun last year with Brian Ray and Brian Vaught.
Yeah, are they still doing it?
They're still doing it, and I remember teasing Ray about it and just give him a hard time and asking him if he brought enough magazines for his 1911 because he's got all the old gear and whatever, and but he's a friend, just giving him a friendly ribbing about it. And then on several jungle runs, like I saw him stick loads that it was like, holy shit, like if I hadn't like watched each round go in there and I just seen him bring the gun up and bring his one hand up off the gun and back on the gun, I would assume that he dropped half of those shells because it was that fast. It was like, geez, like
if the guys that were good at it were good at it. I remember watching when I first started. I remember watching Daniel Horner, and he had kind of a different technique. And I'm probably going to butcher the way I explain this, but he would like hold it with one hand and like throw him in with the other, and it was like, holy cow! And like he was super fast with it. Daniel Horner was, and so who else still does it a little bit today? And I remember I shot a match or two with him last year. Jason Tilkey uses them as he'll like if he throws a quad load in, and if he had any pickups, he'll grab it and throw the pickups in that. Like if he had. He was supposed to only shoot 4 but shot 5 shells. So then he loads 4 and then he'll throw one in off that, and he can do it pretty fast too.
Oh, that's actually pretty smart.
Yeah,
that's pretty smart. Yeah, so I guess if you want to be the best or the fastest at something, you just wait for everyone else not to do it anymore.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So Ray and Vaught are number 1 and number 2 fastest weekend loaders out there.
Yeah, that's you should make him a trophy, Dave.
I should. I'm gonna have to call and tell him that I was talking about him now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so where did it progress from that? So I know. Last year, 2017, we were at the Pro Series shoot off, the 3-Gun Nation Pro Series shoot off at Cawthorn Cartridge Club range in Texas, and where you generously let me borrow your Easy Up so we could have dryness. It was the rain was coming down, and I had like camera gear, computer, recording equipment, and
I had to make a decision for you, man. It was the most. I was like, you know what? I want Dave to be successful. Like he's the voice of 3-Gun. People are really listening to that, and I questioned if more people were listening to that than were watching the Pro Series. So I was like, okay, let him have it, and. I just lived out of my backseat of my truck. And the thing is before I gave it to you, I had like the perfect setup.
You
I
did.
was like, I had a table, I had my gear, and I was focused. And then I was like, man, maybe Dave will figure it out. Because I think you had something else you had maybe thought that was going to work, and then it didn't work.
I think what we were going to do is sit in the back of my truck.
Yeah. and then I was like, yeah, thank you, Dave. And after that, I was like, oh, okay. It's like I said, it's probably more important to go to you than anything Chris is doing.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. So there's a big span between qualifying for the Pro Series and shooting your first match with your sweet Kimber there. So what happened in between? How did you decide to progress in the sport?
So I absolutely fell in love with 3-Gun the minute I did it. And I absolutely loved it. So I wanted to produce. I think I shot all of 2012, just locals. And as I came into 13, I think 2012, I helped with a match here in Texas. And I had no idea what a major match was. The guy was the guy that was running it was like, "Hey, we need some help with staffing. Would you mind being a helpful guy?" And I said, "Sure." And so he's like, "You get to shoot it for free, and it's this X amount of dollars entry fee." And I was like, "Oh, cool." I was like super broke, so I was like, "Okay, free." And then that's when I learned. I shot the match, R-O'd it, and the guy that was with me on the stage, he's like, "Yeah, after this, we go over and do the prize table." And I'm like, "What's the prize table?" And they told me, and at that point, I was like, "Oh my God, this gets even better! Like you get to shoot, and they give you stuff." So, and then I was hooked, but there was one problem, Dave.
What's that?
That I was broke as a joke.
Right.
Like my wife was just starting out, and I just taken a new job with the city of Austin, and while I had great benefits and great pay, I just a lot of stuff was going on, but I loved it so much that I wanted to make it happen.
Well, so that was 2012. So 6 years ago, you're pretty young at that time, right? So what are you, like 29, 30?
No. I'm 31 now.
Oh shit, you're way young.
Yeah, I was like 24.
Yeah.
So I was really young, and I was really young, and so as 2013 came along, I wanted to go shoot some more of these big matches. Like I had so much fun doing, like, I think it was like 12 stages, and at the first one, so I was like, man, that's really awesome to do these big stages, and then the super big perk at the end for me was the prize table. So I went in 2013. I think I went and shot my first travel match where everyone went to and traveled to, and it was Superstition Mystery Mountain, or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Out in Mesa, Arizona, and I traveled with some guys, and I realized at that moment how expensive this really was.
Yeah.
And so I had signed up for, I think maybe 3 or 4 matches. You know how the signups are. They release them in February, and you better sign up or you ain't going.
Right.
So you have to make your decision right then and there. So I was all signed up, and I thought,
yeah, you got to know what your financial picture is going to look like in 7 months.
Mm-hmm. And so here I was. I got back from the match, and I had not shot very well. It was just typical new guy. I just wasn't very good. And so I got back, and I really looked at it, and I would venture to say it was like a $1,500 weekend with the hotels, the match fee, the ammo, everything that goes on related to shooting a major match. And I looked at it and I thought, I can't afford this.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do? And so as it progressed, and at that same time, Aaron Hayes, who I discussed meeting earlier in my first match, was just starting Hayes Custom Guns. Like they just had this, he had rented this shop over in Austin, and he had this little place. So on Thursdays, I would go over there and just kind of hang out, talk to him. Ben was still in Louisiana, building a lot of the guns over there, and they were really doing, the split thing. And Aaron was here doing just little minor things. He was just starting to cut his teeth on the shotgun, and we just started talking more and more and more, and we started to realize that our goals were very similar to what we wanted. We both wanted to be successful in the sport, to be decent in the sport, and not go broke while doing it.
Right.
And so
that reminds me of a racing saying, Garrison, and you're a former drag racer, but so you'll understand this one. Good, fast, cheap. Pick any two.
Yep, pick any two.
So you want to be good, you want to be successful, and you want to do it and you want to not go broke.
Yeah, that's the thing I always see on the internet. People are always saying, "Well, I don't know how these guys shoot so many matches," and I think it might have come up during the prize table discussion. People were just like, "I don't know how these guys do it. It's so expensive." And I always want to tell people, trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. And so what we ended up started doing to make matches less costly is I started traveling with Aaron more. And as I started traveling with Aaron, we would do things. I don't know if maybe it's different than everybody else, but we were doing things. So where it went from 1,500, I think we were down in the range of $700-800.
Really?
Yes.
So that's a huge difference. And staring at my match schedule on the wall here, this is valuable information. So how did you guys do it?
So the things we did at that first match is we we drive through the night. A lot of times we would drive through the night and we would skip that hotel room. So we would literally drive right through the night and show up for stage walkthrough and walker stages and whatnot. Try to do it as early as possible.
So if you're looking at like a Saturday, Sunday match, then you're driving Thursday night, showing up for stage walkthrough on Friday.
Friday, yes.
Okay.
Switch off drivers. Doesn't really happen much because Aaron doesn't like to give up the reins as much. So, we would hang out in the car, or we all ride. Another important thing to making it cheap, or not cheap, sorry, less costly is the word I want to use, is if there's a seat in the truck, fill it. Put a in it. And that's one of the greatest things that I talk about, the people that are just getting to the point where maybe not the new shooter that's at the local level, that want to shoot more and more matches, more and more major matches, and want to go from shooting maybe 4-year to 80-year, or, to 10 to 20 range, or 10 to 15 is really in my opinion, the sweet number. Is that you need to pick your squad. And I'm not talking about your squad in the match. I'm talking about the guys you're going to travel with, you're going to do everything with. You're going to split.
Like your Mean Girl squad.
Well, I've never seen that movie, to be honest with you, dude. So I can't give a reference to that.
I don't either, but I understand that they had a squad.
So I think you just outed yourself, Dave.
How about like a Taylor Swift squad? No.
Well,
do I need a better example? How about like East Coast versus West Coast rappers?
Yes, that'll work. We're the Death Row Records.
Yes, there you go.
So we really, you pick your group and you pick your squad and you do everything together. And a couple of suggestions: one, be thick-skinned, because you're gonna have every minute with these guys, so they're gonna do things that get on your nerves. You're gonna do things that get on their nerves, but think of it as the group mentality. We would do things like we all shot the same ammo. That way we could, if one guy was short or there was a reshoot and something like that, he could always go to his buddy's ammo and just resupply him down the road. Another thing we did is we really focused our prize table pickups accordingly. And when I said that is, what I mean by that is, we would go walk a table, and there might be, we weren't, at least the majority of us weren't good enough to be picking up guns and stuff yet. So we would go in there and we'd be like, okay, what do we need? And at the time, Freedom Munitions and Extreme Bullets were giving out them gift certificates.
Yeah.
Those were like gold.
Those are huge.
Those were gold.
Those helped me shoot a ton of matches.
Mm-hmm. And so what we would do is we would go,
Freedom.
Right? We would go pick up all of these certificates and combine them all together and wait till they had one of their big, sales. And we would put them all in. And then so we, and that would be all of our bullets. We wouldn't do ammo. We would always want, because Aaron went out and bought a 1050 reloader, so we could start loading ammo on the less costly side. We weren't having to always buy factory ammo.
Mm-hmm.
So we would go out and get, we would do two. I think the highest one we ever did was like $3,000 worth of bullets.
Wow.
And like 10,000 bullets showed up. It was that day at the shop. The mail lady hated us.
Yeah, I bet she was pissed.
Because it was like 5 or 6 boxes full of 135 grain 9mm bullets.
Yeah,
So,
happy day for you guys though.
it was a great day for us, and that's what we would do. And then we would all, Aaron really would run the press because he's really good at loading ammo, and then we would be like case gauge it, check in, and we would just all, if Aaron would bought the powder and the brass, we would just reimburse him a certain percentage on the powder and the brass. So it became a lot less costly in the ammo department, which really helped also.
Yeah, big time.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
So-
did you do that Tom Sawyer thing where you're like, Aaron, you're so good at running that press. You should just keep running that press because you're so good at it.
No, he. I'll be honest, he won't let me run the press.
Oh, really?
Well, not that I'm not good at it. I've never had a squib. I've never had anything like that or like gun blow up. I just, Dave, I have ADD. I'm easily distracted. I'd be like squirrel, and you just can't do that when you're loading a press.
Yeah.
You know, it's something you really need to focus on. He's super good at focusing on that, and I'm super good at checking case gauges. So apparently that was the rule I got, and then so. But then there's some other things we did to make it less cost effective. We split hotels, and sometimes we will even put, if there's a pull-out sofa, a third person is going in our room.
Right.
The worst. So we also would do back in 2014. Remember when the Three Gun Nation regionals started to happen?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Three Gun Nation regionals had a match in Kentucky, and the next weekend was Pro-Am.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to shoot both, so we could really, use our time wisely to go to both matches, but we didn't want to come home because we would literally come home for like a day and then go right back.
Right.
That's that was gas.
Did you go camping or something?
No, I wish we would have gone camping. So it was at the time it was Aaron, Nikki Hayes, which is his wife, Ben Hayes, another gentleman that shot with us a lot, and then me. So there was 5 of us. So Aaron and Nikki got their own hotel room, obviously. And then the 3 of us, me, Ben Hayes, and the other gentleman, stayed in an Econo Lodge, $50 a night hotel.
Oh, sweet.
In whatever that town is right outside of Kentucky, right outside of Rock Castle. I forget its name. Cave City, I believe it is.
Oh, yeah, Cave City. Yeah.
Let me tell you, that was an experience. Like that question... I believe the other gentleman that shot with us at one point looked us all in the eyes near the end of the trip after 14 days and said, "I went to college, so I didn't have to do this." So that was we dialed that one back a little, and so during the regional, it had rained. And now picture this, Dave.
Oh no!
3 dudes staying in a hotel room, 3-gun gear everywhere. We pushed the beds like it was two queens over and put Ben Hayes's air mattress in the middle. So it was one continuous, like there was no gaps between the beds, but they weren't the same height. But Ben was a lot lower, so there was some separation in the beds. But there were gear everywhere. I believe I slept with my 3-gun bag because there was no room, so I put it on the bed. So the problem is it rained during the regional.
Right. Well, and rain at Rock Castle is fierce.
Like, it's unrelenting. It just pounds and just rains and rains and rains.
And I think after all the 3-gun matches in rain at Rock Castle has to weigh a lot less because all that mud goes back to the hotel rooms.
Very much so. I can only imagine they probably go through a lot of vacuum.
Yeah.
So all of our gear was soaked. So the hotel room had this. Imagine 3 dudes, all the 3-gun gear, range bags, ammo bags, all the things that go with that musty smell. The smell, something else. And near the end of the trip, it was. We all looked at each other and we were just like, oh man, dude, how bad do we really want this? Like, is this worth it? And so, but during the trip, this is one of the highlights of the story. The one highlight that I love to tell. During the trip, we had to go do laundry. So we went to a laundromat in Cave City, Kentucky, and we get there and it's we're all by ourselves. There's a Q*bert machine there, so we're all playing this old arcade game Q*bert.
Nice.
And the thing, and we're all doing our laundry, and these 2 local residents come in and we just stopped talking. It got really awkward. Like they were like they're doing laundry. They weren't doing anything wrong. There's nothing weird about them. And the one gentleman that was with us, we got in the car after it was all said and done. I can't even say it. And he goes, "Man, doing laundry is a lot less fun when actual laundromat people show up."
Oh.
And dude, it was hilarious at the time. And I just was. Because it was exactly that. We were all having a good time. They came in, and it was just dead silent because it was so awkward. And it was. So, yeah, you have to make sacrifices in what you're going to do as a team and really think about it. And that's one of the main things I have to make this less costly is pick your guys you're going to do everything with, and really focus as a team.
Well, and you got to be on that same wavelength too of like, we're doing this to be economical, right? Because I don't know if you've ever experienced this, Garrison, but sometimes when you go on like vacations with like some bros, there's like maybe one guy that makes like a shitload more than everyone else, and he's like, no, let's go to steak dinner tonight. We'll get a couple bottles of champagne, you know, that sort of thing, and that elevates everyone's bill along with it. And if your goal is to keep the cost down in that $750 to $800 range, you can't travel with that guy.
Yeah, and that's the case. You can be really good friends with that guy, or see him at a match and have a great time with him. He can be a great guy, but you really have to pick people that are somewhat on the same financial plane. You don't have to be on the exact same thing. You have to be in the same mindset, because exactly that. If you have a guy that's steak and lobster every night, you're going to pay for steak and lobster. And so if you're really orienting to be economically affordable, then you really got to pick the people accordingly. But I always tell people, some people have asked me about this, and I've had this talk with people, is that you pick people that share some same qualities as you, have a great sense of humor, and can also be on the receiving end of sometimes humor. You have to pick people that somewhat on the same financial plane. You have to have people that have good hygiene.
That is huge.
That's huge, because you don't want to ride in a car 15 hours with a guy that smells bad.
No.
And it means nothing about the people that maybe, you know, sometimes it's just a thing. Their BO is a little bit more pungent than others, and you definitely don't want to be with that guy in a car for 15 hours.
Especially if you're filling all seats, including that middle one in the truck, you know.
We've done that. We've put 5. I remember one time it was me, Aaron, Aaron's dad, Larry, Ben Hayes, and someone else. I can't remember who it was, but we put 5 seats in, 5 people in the truck heading to, I want to say it was the CMMG Missouri match that used to be around, and I remember that's a long drive with that many people in the truck. And
yeah, no
and then
kidding.
The last thing you need to do is you need to pick people that share your same goals, your same drive, and your same determination in this sport, because together you can succeed more. So in my example, so in our group, there's many people that we hang about, but the true core guys right now are, you know, Aaron Hayes, Ben Hayes, me, Stephen Lee, Jay Honorado, and then Nikki Hayes, Aaron's wife, because she's now shooting matches and she's getting really good at it.
Yeah.
And so in that mix, I like to feel I have a unique position, because I'm always feel like I'm chasing the 2 guys in front of me, and that's Aaron Hayes and Ben Hayes. But behind me in skill level, Stephen Lee and Jay are always chasing me. So it's driving me to try to be better, because I want to see them succeed, but I don't want to get beat by them.
Yeah. Well, and then Aaron and Ben see you, nipping at their heels, and they're pushing harder too.
Yeah, they're pushing harder. So together, you're moving forward as a group, and that has really helped our match finishes. And we start practicing together. Like just yesterday, we were all at the range practicing long distance position. We were all there doing our thing, helping each other, pointing out each other's faults, and helping people get better. Because at the end, I would love to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, finish at a match. That would be that's the goal. That's what you want, and we can all fight over the positions amongst ourselves.
And you have to have like a level of honesty and candor with your crew that's kind of unheard of. Like most people are too polite to tell someone that they suck. And like you said, that sense of humor, be willing to give it, be willing to take it kind of thing. I think that kind of goes along with it. And when I'm practicing with someone, I don't want someone that's going to be like, patting me on the back and telling me how good I did when I clearly sucked.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have like that positive reinforcement and everything, but like if you see something I'm doing, like you got to tell me.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, you want people to say it, and then that's really Aaron has helped me a ton throughout practicing throughout the years from 2013, 2012 to now. He's taught me so much, and the same thing is Stephen Lee has taught me a lot also. Even Stephen Lee has taught me notice something like it was Saturday we worked together on. I'm a little rough when I go into positions. So like we were doing this long distance, so we were shooting these 200-yard targets standing off this barricade. So we were going into the shooting position, and so he was telling me, he was like, you're just going in there to the shooting position too hard. And so it was we worked on that.
Yeah, you're like a bull in a china closet.
Very much so. And then one of the other guys was having trouble. He was slapping the trigger. So we talked and worked about that and worked on some kneeling positions. But as a group, you can do that, and you have to be honest with the other person. And I respect their decisions, and that's in both in life. In life too, I their advice for me in my personal life. I've come to them wanting advice, and they've always helped. So, it goes a little bit farther than just being on the range.
Right. Yeah. And I think that is super important to have. And there's several friends that I have that I know that, I can talk to and I can get like, straight answers from. But there's one friend that I have who, really good friend. I've known him for a long time, but I will have to, like almost like punch him in the arm and tell him like, dude, I know you're like bullshitting me right now. Like, tell me what you really think. And then he'll unleash and let me have it. But having like that open line of communication and maybe some sort of, verbal agreement in your group, like, hey, we're not going to get butthurt. We're trying to help each other here. And we're trying to raise the quality of our shooting altogether. I think that's important.
Oh no, it's very important. I love it when people are straight up honest with me.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm asking a question, I value your opinion. So you don't need to make me feel good. You don't need to make me, if I'm doing something that's weird in shooting, or is something that's maybe annoying the group, I probably don't know I'm doing it. So just people have tell me that, and I like a person that's just blunt about it. Okay, I'm going to be blunt about it. Here you go. This is what you're doing, and most likely I'll fix it. I've had examples of that. I was doing something within the group is I would be pointing out some errors, and it was really irking people, and so I had to learn not to do that.
Really, like what kind of errors?
Just little things. I would argue with them. It's hard to go into detail about it, but it would be like if it was a questionable call, maybe with an RO or something.
Oh,
I should just shut my mouth.
Yeah.
Like I would sometimes I wouldn't do that, and I would end up screwing my friend over, and not in the form of like he didn't get a penalty that he should have got or something of that nature. Nothing on the level of any kind of cheating or anything like that, but it was just like, man, I should just shut my mouth, and I wouldn't do that, and I was finally told by several people like this bothers us, I was like,
you are not
okay.
helping the situation here.
Yeah, so I learned to just keep my mouth shut, and I feel that at the time I didn't notice I was doing it, or I thought I was being helpful, and then sometimes it would blow up in my face, and I would think to myself, why did I do that? Why did I even like I was just like, oh, and then so now I put the blinders on and walk away.
I like it.
So
yeah, I tend to do that as well. It's like we can discuss it afterwards. You go and handle you over here.
Mm-hmm. You do you. You know,
Yeah.
that's the that's how it goes. And I always feel bad when I did it. Now I always apologized, but it got heated there for a little bit. Sometimes people are out here competing to try to compete at the highest level, even within the group. But when that would happen, they would think was just trying to cheat them out of a place, and that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I always ended up apologizing. I always felt bad about it.
Yeah.
It always seemed to always fall in with one guy. It was always Stephen Lee it seemed to fall in. I always felt bad because I really liked Stephen. I really did, but it was always that, and I was just like, oh, so in the end, I've now learned to be a better person, and like I've learned to just keep my mouth shut.
Awesome. Well, Garrison, what are some other things that we can do to make traveling for this game, going to major matches more economical?
Like I said, put a body in every seat. Shoot the same ammo if that's something you guys can do. Because I mean, like buying bulk packages from, I mean bulk. I mean, like say if you all guys go in together with a bunch of local shooters and buy a pallet of shotgun ammo,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be more affordable than going to Academy or Field and Stream or Cabela's or one of these big major chains and buying one case at a time.
Yeah.
So,
I've tried to do that a couple times before because I didn't even think of this until a friend of mine that shoots clays, and he's like a high level clay shooter, and he actually goes and shoots. There's like I forgot what the hell they're called, but it's like a shoot. I'm hoping this is legal now that I'm talking about it, but it's a shoot where they like release pigeons, and so instead of shooting, is that a thing?
That is a thing.
Okay, cool.
At least I've never personally been to one, but people have told me it's a thing.
Well, so
and,
that was like the original start, right? And that's why we call them clay pigeons, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's done like pigeon shoots. He's competed at high levels in sporting clays, trap and skeet, and 5-stand stuff like that. He's like a legit dude, and he was telling me that several guys in his club will get together and buy a couple pallets of ammunition, have them delivered to one dude's house, and then they go and get their allotment and stuff. I tried to do that back before I started the 3-gun show, and I just couldn't get people to understand the economy of purchasing your entire season's worth of ammo up front, rather than just like going and grabbing 200 shells from Walmart on your way down.
and that's the thing. It's like you never get consistent ammo.
Right.
So you do this, you're always getting the same quality, always getting, your guns are really running great because you're always running the same ammo. So if you go to Cabela's and they're out of the Winchester double A's, you have to buy now the Federals. Well, your gun might not like Federals.
Yeah.
It has its own benefits.
Right. So how do you convince people to participate in something like that with you? What's like the logistics of having a pallet of ammunition delivered, and then how much do you think you save in the end on that?
I'm not sure how much you end up saving. It does save money. Where you save it the most, you might not get it. It's not like if you buy 100 cases, you're going to get them maybe cheaper. Some manufacturers might do that.
Mm-hmm.
But what you save on, and this is the big part of it, shipping.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's where the big chunk of change comes from, is that it's all shipped at once, it's all there. So it's the logistics of it is it usually shows up with a freight company. It shows up on a pallet. Really, Aaron Hayes handles all of that. So he'll just have a pallet of an awesome shotgun brand show up, and that's what we shoot all year. They have slugs and buck, and they do all that.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. So find yourself an Aaron Hayes is what I'm hearing in this.
It goes a long way, but it's not. Other people do other things in the group. For example, recently Stephen Lee has been booking our hotels.
Oh, nice.
So he's always looking for the greatest hotel, and don't always think that the Holiday Inn is the right answer. We stay at a lot of condos.
Yeah, dude, VRBOs are the way to go.
Yeah. So, you did that at SHOT, so you totally get it.
So I got to tell you, like the final part of that story. I don't think I told you the whole thing. So I actually got a VRBO for I I think 4 people, and I had a couple people drop out, so I kind of filled in some days, sporadically, but it wasn't like 100% utilization, right? And I still ended up paying, and by getting stuck with like a large part of the bill, I still ended up paying less than if I would have stayed at the Palazzo.
Yeah. Oh no, that's a given. For the best example I have, and this is probably the cheapest match I've shot in many, many years. Generation 3 gun this year. We were just talking about that earlier. We got a lake house on the lake.
Sweet.
It had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beds, and we put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in it. And I think we paid, I think $110 a person for the whole trip.
For the whole trip. Wow. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah. For the whole trip. And then I think I rode with Daniel Jurassic this time and his brother Ben Jurassic. And I think we paid gas like $90, maybe $100. So all together, travel wise, I'm in it for like 210.
Yeah.
And then we went to the grocery store, because this is also another thing you can't get with a hotel. You have a refrigerator in the kitchen.
Yeah.
In most of these situations, and we went to the grocery store and we bought a bunch of snacks, a bunch of food. Daniel and them were cooking chicken breasts. So it cut down on going out for them. I still went to go out because I didn't really want to cook chicken all weekend. But
I think that's huge when you can. So the VRBO is like the hidden gem of match travel. The rooms are often cheaper. It's often nicer than a lot of hotels that you'll stay in. There's several bathrooms, so you don't have to share one generally. They generally have like a washer and dryer, which is great. They, excuse me, they'll often have Wi-Fi, which is important to me in what I do. And then the kitchen is clutch because you're not going to McDonald's every morning for breakfast. So you can.
Well, that was another thing we did at Generation 3 Gun. Daniel is a fireman. He'd get up early and cook breakfast for everybody.
Yeah.
And we would eat breakfast tacos on the way out the door. We didn't go to, McDonald's or, the convenience store and buy your honey bun every day.
So you're eating more healthy. You're eating less expensive because you can do, family meal kind of thing. And then when you throw in having a refrigerator, now you can make like sandwiches for the day and snacks. So you're not like on the range and thinking like, oh, well, I need to go find, a gas station and grab a taquito or something like that. Like there's a lot of benefits to staying in a house.
In a house versus a hotel.
Yeah.
The hotel, it's so cramped, and then you can also in the comfort department, it's way better because now, we have 8 people in a house. We each have our own space. We had I think 3 bathrooms, so none of us had to really share an overused bathroom. It had a huge porch, so we had a nice place to sit down and relax. And we weren't on top of each other. Like a lot of times we would have these, when we share a hotel room, in the evening, there's like 6 people crammed in a little hotel room hanging out, bullshitting.
Yeah, exactly.
This sucks, while it's all right. It's when you start getting those large groups of people, it's like, man, then why aren't we going to a hotel? And there's what else? So there's a plenty of room. So maybe if there's not a bed for everybody, there's usually plenty of room for somebody to put an air mattress on the floor.
Oh, for sure.
So you can use every inch of space in the place to fill it with bodies. So if match travel is what's killing you, I highly suggest looking at other avenues other than a hotel.
Yeah, and along those same lines, like if you've got, well, see in the story that you told initially, you were saying that you had 2 hotel rooms, one for Nikki and Aaron, one for you and the other 2 dudes. It's like now you can all be in the same house, and the married couples go off to their corner, and it's not weird or anything. And then you go retire to your own room, got your own gear in there and everything, and you have your own privacy.
Very, very much so. What I didn't tell you about the Kentucky story is that one of the gentlemen, this adds to the horror of it. One of the gentlemen served our country and was injured in a thing, and he had a medical thing, a medical thing that was involved his digestion, and so and then he would have to vent that object, and oh my, like
Oh,
it was bad. And he was usually really respectful of it. He would go in the bathroom and whatnot, but it was pungent. So
oh
you
man.
didn't have that. You don't have that in a condo or a
Yeah.
condo house. All those other things.
Yeah, exactly. You just have your own room to do all that stuff.
hmm you have a little bit of privacy. Because once you spend enough time with these people, by the end of the weekend, people are sometimes ready to go home. Depends on how their match went. So it's nice to have your own space to kind of cut back to, sit on your phone, play on your own social media, handle the things you need to do, and you might be able to get a little space from the group for a minute.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're dealing. So you've got a bunch of type A personalities, right? And sometimes maybe you're button heads or something on like a stage plan or, meal or whatever it is. And just like the brotherly annoying each other, the nitpicking kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, now you can just go to your separate corners and then, come back later and you like each other again.
Oh, and that's the case. And so I always notice there's always a lot of people talking on the drive up there. You're having a good time, you're laughing, you're pointing out things. On the way back home, a little bit more quieter. It's, everybody's just kind of ready to go about their way. But when it comes down to the next match or maybe the next week, the next practice session, you're all buddies, you're ready to go, you're ready to work towards the common goal.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I like it. So so we covered travel, fill every seat. We covered the secret sauce there with the VRBO, which helps out with meal plans and stuff like that. Anything we're missing?
Think about the way you pick up things on prize tables. I know everybody thinks kind of loses it about people selling stuff, but I get it. If you're having to make ends meet, you sometimes just have to sell some of the stuff that's on the prize table. While people sometimes can frown on that, I get it. You have to do it. Think about what you're picking up. I when I was really, really, really struggling, I would think of the prize table kind of like the last stage. So as they're doing the walkthrough, you kind of get to eye the prize table. I was on my phone Googling things, finding the highest retail value for certain things. If there wasn't like a bunch of gift certificates, I need it for like ammo. So definitely think of it that way. If you don't have to sell it, don't sell it. Because if you need it, look for stuff you need first. But if you absolutely have to sell it, do your research, look at the prize table. That is a place you can relieve some of the pressure. I'm not going to say you're never going to get to make this 100% make money. You're not. It just doesn't happen. Unless you're winning the match every match you go to, and the prize tables are ridiculous. Great. You're most likely not going to win, your money back.
Yeah. I like to, I'm not huge on the prize table. We generally don't talk about it on the show very much. I understand that there's a huge sacrifice that companies make to put things out there, and I very much respect and appreciate that. And I like to look at it the way you were talking about there. I always try to figure out something I need. And a good example is the Magpul Governors match last year. I picked up a D60, which I use like all the freaking time now.
Love those things. I got one myself.
Oh my God.
Oh, it runs so good.
Yeah, it runs great. And I never have to think about round count because there's just always like a shitload of ammo in there. But I passed over several things that were of higher value because I was like, I will use this a lot.
Yeah, and I totally get it, and that's what we would do. I would look for parts that I needed, before I would go for, absolute highest value. The number one thing I would always go for was those ammo certificates. Man, those things were great.
Yeah,
those were like straight up currency, and I understand, and when it comes to prize tables, we don't want to talk about it too much, but um, on the side of helping out with matches, everybody should be thanking the sponsors, whether it's social media, in an email, or in a Facebook message. So if you're not doing that, you need to be.
Right. You're not helping. You're a drag
Yeah.
on the sport.
Yeah, yeah, and agreed. You need to come home and I've sent emails to every sponsor of a match before. But if I'm literally crunched on time, I will send a thank you card or an email to every person that donated something that I picked up.
Yeah.
That's just to say, hey, we thank you. We get it. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, and that's hugely important. I've had a couple conversations with several dudes from your crew that have said the exact same thing, and it seems like a little bit of like a microculture amongst you and your friends.
Yeah. So it definitely is. We have our own little thing going on, and I recommend people finding that. Recommend people finding their own little niche. I know we're not the only ones doing it. It seems like, you see people all the time. There's guys up in Missouri, there's Sean Oleski and Michael Lindsay. They're doing this kind of thing. And there are people in, Minnesota and Michigan and all those guys up there. They're also playing the game at the same type of way. And it's because it really helps you make it more affordable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Garrison, one of the cool things that you've chosen to do this year is you mentioned, helping out with that first match, but you've decided to take a step back from competing in one of your what am I trying to say? So
I took a step back from. Go ahead.
Let me start over. There's like a shitload of matches in Texas. So the fact that I'm like your home. I'm trying to say your home match, but there's so many. It's like hard to call one the other. But
it is the one closest to me.
Okay,
that's that. We can call it my home match. Well, we have great matches in Texas. The Vortex Shooter Source up in Dallas, or I'm sorry, on Triple C. We have Mike and Lan at Dissident Arms doing, fabulous things down there at Cawthorn Cartridge Club.
Yep.
I decided to this year join an already fantastic team at the Texas Three Gun Championship. Kurt Gruber, Brian White, and Aaron Hayes are the real three main cats there. There's another guy, Mark Witt. He helps out a lot too. We got Brian Corey doing the stage work. Brian Corey is a phenomenal stage builder.
Yeah, for sure.
I joined the crew in the form of sponsorship coordinator and the guy that's going to do all the social media during the match. And it's been quite an awesome experience so far. We've had, surprisingly, but because this is just as a shooter and looking into it, I've just heard things. I'm not in the industry. I don't work for a gun company or anything like that, but I've just heard it's been a little slow this year. So we've had a real good turnout and people wanting to sponsor the match and making a fabulous prize table on the side of the sponsor coordination side. That's really what I see directly, but I know Kurt and them have an awesome match planned. I was just out there today with Tabor Bright from Ruger doing a site visit because they're coming on big. And Kurt was there, and I got to see the stage locations. We're in a new home place called Reveille Peak Ranch, where we left Copperhead Creek because we just outgrew them, and it was a mutual, hey, we're gonna go somewhere else kind of thing, and it's gonna be a phenomenal match. The price table is gonna be great. The stages are gonna be awesome, off the chain. This place we're going to is ridiculously nice. It is huge. It's a little farther off the beaten path than Copperhead Creek was, but you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna have a good time.
So one of my buddies ran a Spartan race down there, and when I told him, like, yeah, they're moving to Revelry, I think it is, range, he's like, oh yeah, that's that was the Spartan race I ran in Austin. So
Yeah.
In chatting with Kurt and Brian Corey, it sounds like this facility is like super serious about putting on matches, and they have like quite a bit of infrastructure out there to play with.
So the infrastructure is so they don't put on a lot of matches. They're just now starting to put on like commercial side matches. I talked to the owner today, and that was the words he used. But they do a lot of things with the state. And what I mean by the state, they like the little special operations communities, the SWAT teams, the local police departments all around there. They do a lot. Like, here's a good story. I wasn't there, but it's been told to me a few times. When they were first doing the site visit, and the guy was really talking about like what they could do there and what we could do there. Someone asked, well, what's the largest caliber we can shoot and this and that? And he's like, well, we shoot RPGs out here all the time.
What?
Yeah. There was a burned spot on the hill. Kurt told this story today. There was a burned spot on the hill, and I guess when they first came, this burned area was they I guess had shot an experimental. Like the state came in and brought this, or not the state, maybe the government. I can imagine the military at this point. Brought in, I guess, some kind of experimental RPG, and they lit the hillside on fire by accident. But yeah, it's that big of a place that they can do that. It's got
crazy,
easily 40 bays. I hadn't counted them, but
40 bays.
Yeah, dude, it's huge. And then there's some natural terrain. If you, the way I always described it to somebody, for the people that shot Fallen Brethren at the old Spartan complex or Spartan Tactical Complex, it's going to have a very similar feel to the natural terrain in there because it's got the very similar look to it. So if you really like that match, what a lot of people did when it was at that facility, expect to have very similar feelings about our natural terrain stages.
Man, that's cool. So is there going to be like a mixture of natural terrain and bays, or are you guys flipping all the way to complete natural terrain, or what?
No, it's just like all the previous years. I believe there's going to be 3 or 4 natural terrain, and the rest will probably be in the bays.
Cool.
But all the bay stages are being designed by Brian Corey, so expect fabulous bay stages. Similar to what people saw in the really awesome 3-Gun Nation Pro Series when it was out of there in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I went to probably 4, maybe 5 matches where Brian Corey designed at least some stages last year. Man, I remember that the one at Texas 3-Gun Championship.
The Diamond?
The Diamond, there we go.
Yeah, the Diamond was a mind trip, and we talk about that all the time. And that's the kind of stuff he does. He's really good at what he does. And I was there during setup last year. Even though I shot the main match, I was just being a labor. I wasn't making any real decisions, but I was just being the labor guy, swinging the stakes, the hammers and whatnot. And that dude, the way he builds a stage is phenomenal. Like the way he does it, he does a really great job, and he's really open to criticism. You can be like, man, I didn't like that, and he'll take it to heart, and he'll might do something different next time, but he'll really sit there and he loves to be critiqued because he's always improving his game.
Yeah. There's several innovations that I've seen in match building in the last couple of years that Brian's been responsible for, and yeah, just some incredible stages, like so much fun.
And they are. They're so the ones he built all the base stages last year at the Texas 3-Gun Championship. And those are some of my favorite stages I've ever run. The one that I love the most was it was a long run. You started with a rifle, then you went to your pistol, and then there were some shotgun clays at the end, and there were several options throughout the way. It was one of my favorite stages. A nice long run, couple ports to shoot in. Got to the end, you hot holstered your pistol and went to your shotgun. It was fun because I never got to shoot the Pro Series that was in the bays. The only thing closest I've ever come to that was I did in 2014 or 15, maybe 15. I did the Pro Series qualifier, and I was nowhere close to making it, but I got to shoot that style and I loved it. It was like, this is a lot of fun. So he brings a lot of that to the table when he does a match.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what kind of other stuff can we expect from the Texas Three Gun Championship?
Oh, good. We're gonna have some vendors. STI signed on last week. They're bringing a demo bay out.
Oh, cool.
So make sure you get a go over there. Landtac will have some kind of side stage demo going on. There's going to be a local, I'm going to say historical group. They do World War II reenactments out there in a museum off in Fredericksburg, I believe it is.
Huh.
I think it's the same group, but they're going to have World War II machine guns. I guess you can rent. They're going to do a little fundraising event trying to help what they got going on. So you can show up machine gun. But one of the big things that are going on is Ruger, who stepped up really big this year. They're coming in on a platinum sponsor. They put 10 Ruger precision rifles on the table.
Whoa.
Yeah. 5 and 6.5 Creedmoor, 5 and 308.
Wow.
And if that wasn't enough, it wasn't enough. Tabor Bright, who's over at Ruger, really great human being.
Yeah, definitely.
For those who got no Tabor, understand what I talk about. They're going to do a side stage. Not sure what it is, but it's going to involve some 22 pistols and some 22 rifles with Vortex optics on top. I believe they're going to have some on top. And so you're going to go over there. Everybody in the match, I believe this is how it's going to work. Everybody in the match is going to get one free try. And that enters them into a random draw. And then after that, it's $5 per try. And all the proceeds go to HAVA, a veterans charity. Some guys know what it's work with it within the shooting side of it. They really go out of their way to really help veterans. It's a really honorable thing to be a part of. But they are so basically, and all that is basically what you're getting entered in for. Every time you get $5, it's an enter into the random draw, and they're going to give away all 10 of the guns that are in the side match.
Wow, that's cool.
So they're now giving 20 guns away.
Sweet.
In this match.
Do you
so expect big things from Ruger. Bring your cash to really help them along. It all goes to HAVA. None of it is going to us. We're not taking a dime from it. Neither is Ruger. Every penny goes to HAVA.
That's cool. So really good cause and a lot of fun along there as well. Texas Three Gun Championship is one of my must-shoot matches. After shooting it last year, I was like, this is one thing I'm going to do for 2018. And so I'm pumped about that. And I've been on like a cold streak on random draw stuff. So I'm due, buddy.
Dude, we got it. There might be some more part of that random draw. We talked to Red Stitch Targets. So they might be putting in a little in. We're still working out the details on that. But so there's going to be a good amount of random draw based off what Ruger's doing. So if you love random draw, for those guys out there that love random draw, we got it for you.
Yeah.
There might be.
Well, this seems like kind of like a raffle kind of thing, right? Only you get to shoot
much.
as well, which is cool.
You get to shoot as much. He didn't want to be like the fastest guy wins the gun.
Right.
So he wanted to make sure everybody got a fair shake, and then so basically, it's basically a raffle. Every time your $5 goes in, your name's going in the hat one more time. So if you walk up with a $20 bill, that goes to all that. Every $5 of that $20 bill is an entry into the draw.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was chatting with Tabor at SHOT Show, and I was asking him like, dude, who is putting all these Ruger guns? Because I saw that picture that Kurt or was it you that put up?
I put it up. Me and Kurt kind of split the announcement sides, but that one was me.
So
there was a truck bed full of guns.
Truck bed full of guns, and I was like, holy shit! So I was chatting with Tabor about that, and he's like, oh man, you don't even know, we got more coming. He's like, we're gonna hook up at the match. So it sounds like Tabor's gonna be out there. If you
he's doing and we just talked about it today, and he said he's gonna do it. There is going to be I believe, some type of 9mm pistol, maybe a 9mm 1911 that we're going to give away to the best use of social media.
Oh,
So if you're out there and you're using the hashtag TX3GC on all your posts, and you're really going out there and you're talking about sponsors and thanking them and putting out your match video and doing it all right and really stirring content up for the match, we're going to reward you
I like that.
if you're doing it right.
So is there a pond we can jump in afterwards?
There is a pond,
What?
very big pond, where the prize table is going to be. There is a huge, it might, I would classify it maybe a small lake.
A small lake. Wow. All right.
I get what you're getting at there.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, Generation 3 Gun in Missouri, they have this this stage that's kind of like their signature stage where you shoot from a dock to a dock, like targets are on a dock, you're on a dock, shit's moving around, and you're shooting rifle, shooting slugs and things like that, shooting pistol this year. And Garrison, after the match was over, went to the top of the stairs and just jumped right in the pond.
Yep. So they had these set of stairs, and like you shot your pistol off this set of stairs, and I wanted to, unload, show clear, put my gun down, put my gun in my holster, pull off my belt, and immediately jump in. But I had another stage to shoot, and let me tell you, I was so glad I didn't do that, because after I did the jumping in the pond thing, Daniel Jurassic, who had a new truck at the time, he just got it, pretty much wouldn't let me get in the truck. Like I had to ride in the back for a little bit, because he didn't want any water in his truck. So if I would have done that, I would have just been a sopping wet mess trying to run this next stage, which was a lot of running. So I'm so glad I didn't do that. But it was all for fun. It was trying to generate content for the match in in my little way. And if you're not at the match having a good time like that, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to what we were talking about originally, picking a good squad.
Picking your good squad. Earlier I had made a comment about the core people, and I almost forgot. Daniel Jurassic is one of those core people also. So when I was traveling with him at Generation 3 Gun, we, he was totally supported the idea, and I'm pretty sure he was just dying laughing, because he never told me about I couldn't get in the truck until after I did. So
That sounds like Daniel.
yeah. So he's like, "Dude, you're not getting in my truck now," and I was just like, "Oh crap," So.
Well, right on, Garrison. Well, anything else we should be looking forward to at Texas 3 Gun? Is that barbecue going to make a return?
There's a little talk about it's still in the planning stages. But F1 Firearms, Ryan Muller out there, he's trying to get them to come out and do a little bit of a cook-off.
Oh,
so there might be a little food. We do half-day format, so it's it's how much do you really eat? So they're going to be out there. They're going to be having a good time. It's still in the planning stages, so they're looking at their schedule and whatnot. But there might be some food out there. There's definitely going to be food at the banquet after on Sunday. But be out there, take a look at it. One of my sponsors will be there, 2A. They'll have a booth. I think Ruger might move a little bit down there, maybe STI for during the prize table, the banquet award and stuff. So,
well, and so this is a match that fills in kind of quick. So is it safe to say that it's going to be entertaining, even if you didn't get into the match, to come out and shoot like side stages?
Absolutely. Side stages, STI, Ruger, the World War II guns, just watching all of it is going to be great. So if you want to come out, you didn't get in, there's going to be good opportunities for you to come out and just watch some of the best in Texas and then all around the country, just going at it in some of the greatest 3 gun you're going to see, around the country.
Cool. And I'll be out there as well, and going to be hanging out with you and hanging out with Tabor and all the other cool people in Texas, and we're going to be having a good time shooting the match.
We definitely will. One more thing about the match.
Yeah.
We might have some spots shaking loose.
Oh, really?
If you're interested in shooting the match, keep an eye on our social media. We might be some spots might shake some loose. We've had, we've worked through our wait list, and so we're kind of going through some of the people that maybe not have paid, or maybe, have had some change in plans. So if you're interested in shooting, keep an eye on our social media. There might be some shake out of it.
Right on. So that what's the handle on Instagram this year?
The handle on Instagram is, you got me. I should have known this off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
look at my. Give me a second. It's Texas _3gun _ championship.
Okay.
Texas 3-gun championship.
And then on Facebook is Texas 3-gun championship. So if you just go facebook.com/Texas 3-gun championship.
Actually, it's on Facebook. It's Extreme Bullets Texas 3-gun championship.
Yeah. So that's the name. But if you go to the URL, it's just Texas 3-gun championship.
Oh, is it?
Yep. Looking at it right now.
Oh, you just educated me.
Yeah, buddy. All right. So Garrison, man, we've talked a lot of different topics here. One of the coolest matches that's happening on the face of the planet is coming up in a month here. You gave us a lot of great knowledge for match travel, saving dollars here and there, making this a more economical sport to participate in. Let's finish up with just a couple questions that I always ask all my guests. One, where do you see the sport of 3-gun headed?
It is gonna get bigger and badder always. There might be a little bit of a shrinkage of it as the industry shrinks, but if you just stay in it, I believe we're gonna have fabulous stages from a ton of different match directors. I've met through the years of doing this, I've met some wonderful people and some wonderful match directors. So expect to still see the same quality of matches always, and so the future of it is going to grow. Now I haven't shot one yet, but I think the UML, is it United Multigun League?
Yeah,
I think it's going to be good for the sport also. So we're seeing another big body of 3-gun coming up, and along with 3-gun Nation, who's there. But UML is going to definitely help grow the sport. So I still see growth. I still see a lot of good times. And I still see a lot of good times with some great people.
I like it. Well, Garrison, if you can leave the audience with just one thought or one piece of advice, what would it be?
Work hard. Keep striving. Go out there and practice. Shoot for your goals. You're not always going to get them, but you get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. And it's just going to keep driving, and sooner or later, you are going to reach what you want to do in the sport. So just keep at it.
Well, I like it. Well, Garrison, man, we've had a great night here talking a bunch of great stuff about 3-gun, man. I really appreciate your time and sharing your knowledge with the 3-gun show audience. Can't wait to see you in a month, and looking forward to seeing you on the range. So thanks for being here, man.
I appreciate it, Dave. I've had a wonderful time.
Hey, before you take off, check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com for links to things that we discussed in the podcast. You can also sign up on Patreon as a 3-Gun Show supporter or purchase 3-Gun Show apparel. This podcast is brought to you by Breda USA, Italian shotguns that are the best in the world. And this is a shotgun tech tip from Team Breda. Hey, this is Dave Hartman from the 3-Gun Show with Sean Burrows from Team Breda, and Sean has a tech tip for us today. Sean, what do you got?
Today I want to tell you about cleaning the bore of your shotgun. These are smooth bore guns, and unlike the other cartridges we discharge in 3-gun, shotgun shells are plastic, and what we want to do is make sure melted plastic comes out. So go get a 12-gauge size steel brush, put it on your cleaning tube, and then put it on a drill. Put some cleaning solution in here and actually use your drill to get it out. It won't hurt your barrel, and obviously there's no rifling to mess up. And it'll keep your gun clean and keep your patterns nice and patterny.
All right, there's your tech tip from Sean Burrows from Team Breda. Check out Breda's B12i 3-gun ready inertia-driven shotgun at bredausa.com. That's BREDA. Quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished. Finish, unload, show clear.